already been bad as it is for the last couple of months. But you see where the double standards come in here. They said, look, after we have distributed this oil, after we have sold it off to the markets that are readily available, we will give all these profits that we get from these sales to the Ukrainian aid. So now I'm thinking, are you trying to be neutral? Are you trying to, there is a whole lot of confusion, but it says regardless, whatever you want us to do, we cannot do. We will keep buying that oil because we need it. What happens if Saudi Arabia cannot give us their oil? We have to look at Russia. But well, we hope that things will be able to stabilize. And yes, we are still happening. Good morning, Uganda. We are with you between now and the hour of 9 a.m. And later on, actually just a few minutes from now, I'll be giving you our morning poll question. But before we get into that, we also do have some good news from Robert every single morning, where he has to give you some inspiration, from his line of experience. And yeah, this may be about the time.
And these are the products, hallelujah, ginger tea and hallelujah, tamarind. Now, what these drinks do is they simply boost your immune system. Treatment is one of the most expensive ventures in our country. If you're just aware of what is happening, many infants now have cough and flu. But just moving to a clinic where there's consultation, there's this, there's that. Yet, if you boost your immune system, you can be able to fight off this. This is what our great parents used, and it has been condensed in just these bottles for you. Because this generation, many of these are hard to come by and have them at the same time, have that concoction that you need. But when you get hallelujah tamarind, there's so much of those herbs, the ginger here, there's so much here of tamarind. I don't know if many of you know enkoge and how it's hard to get in these times,
yes,
but it's in this drink. How many of you know how hard it is to get ginger and condensed, march and all that? But it's in this drink. So at just 1,500, the burden has been lighted for you, and you can purchase any of these. Just move to any supermarket and retail shop, ask for hallelujah ginger tea, ask for hallelujah tamarind, and you'll be able to have.
Absolutely. 1,500 Ugandan shillings is all it takes to make sure that your health is actually put in check. Well, when it comes to the morning poll question, now we did see what happened, especially in the updates of, the arrest of Dr. Byargaba Baterana, the executive director of Mulago National Referral Hospital. And we saw the president address a letter where he did ask that all these private pharmacies should vacate all government hospital premises. Now, this morning, we would love to find out from you, what do you think about the president's directive asking private pharmacies to vacate government premises? Of course, you can share your feedback with us on Twitter. The hashtag is UBCGMU, and also you can send us an SMS text, or you can send us a WhatsApp message. The number is 0709602592. We'll be, as always, sharing your feedback with the rest of the world as Good Morning Uganda still happens. However, for now, we are going to take you to the inspirational song. It's a Monday. You need some new energy. You need to make sure that you are out of that bed, you are out of that house, you're up and about Kampala trying to get your hustle on, but of course with some inspiration to help you drive there. When we get back, we'll be heading into the Good Morning Uganda newsreel, where we'll be discussing more about this directive from the president, me and Robert, of course, and later on we'll be having Mollen to give us the weather updates, and yours truly will also be here to take you to the roads to see what's happening right over there. And much later on, Robert will be coming with GMU agenda, and right after that, Ruben will also be here to give you some of the sports updates, what happened during the course of the weekend. However, I get to tell you what the poll question is once again, and that is, what do you think about the president's directive asking private pharmacies to vacate government premises? Hashtag UBCGMU, and yes, the number is 0709602592. Good Morning Uganda returns after the break.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Enjoy 100% double. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Dial *175 hash and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Raising voices.
I feel happy when my mother spends time with me. I hope all mothers will like my mother. I want my mother to reach out to all mothers. She knows how important it is to be a good mother. I promise to help my mother inspire other mothers to change.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Double MBs for the same price on daily bundles with Airtel. Now you get double MBs for twice your enjoyment. For 250 shillings, you now get double. That's 30 MBs. For only 500 shillings, you get 80 MBs. And for 1,000 Uganda shillings, enjoy 180 MBs. All valid for 24 hours. Dial *175 hash or use the My Airtel app to enjoy double MBs on your daily bundles for the exact same price. With Airtel, the smartphone network.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Once again, thank you for staying with us right here on Good Morning Uganda. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda Newsreel, to be very specific. My name is Philomena, Mastiko, and it's about a few minutes after 7 a.m. I am with Robert Kirabo, as always, every single morning, and we are here to discuss some of the issues that have been rising quite from last week, especially when it comes to the field of medicine. The medics are all being dragged into the picture. All the hospitals right there, national referral hospitals, regional referral hospitals, are all being dragged into this. Now, last week we did see the executive director of Mulago National Referral Hospital, Dr. Byarugaba Baterana, being arrested by the State House Health Monitoring Unit on very many offences, and one of them is actually being failure to account for quite about 28.8 billion Ugandan shillings. But also another thing has come to light, where apparently it is alleged that he did have quite some dealings with some of these private pharmacies that were operating on government premises. Now, His Excellency, in a letter that was dated 8th February 2022, he gave a directive for all these private pharmacies to be able to vacate from these government premises with immediate effect. Now, subsequently, the Health Ministry made sure that the National Drug Authority gave them the mandate to make sure that they put this into action, they implement, to make sure all these, private pharmacies, we have Fast Pharmacy, we have Eco Farm, just to mention but a few, to be able to vacate from all these government premises. Now, Robert, this is where we come in. Maybe first we need to look at what has been the role of these pharmacies, especially when it comes to the field of medicine.
And Philo, I love that because this is going to give us the basis for the discussion.
Yes.
First and foremost, one wonders that in these public hospitals, each of them has a pharmacy.
Yes.
And this is where you find drugs. Now, when you have within the same premises a private pharmacy, it means the services being offered by the same hospital are the same services being offered by the private pharmacy.
Yeah.
They're all they're handling drugs, dispensing of drugs. So that is what beats our understanding. Because one would think that only drugs that maybe are not given by the public or the government facility, then you buy them from this pharmacy. But that hasn't been the case. So at the end of the day, it ceases to justify their existence, because government of Uganda spends billions of money to purchase drugs.
That's true.
And we have a whole body that is the national medical stores that keeps and supplies these drugs. We've seen government destroy drugs that have not been used in government facilities, hospitals, drugs worth billions of money. At the end of the day, they say, well, these were not consumed, we destroy these drugs. But those drugs are not destroyed by public pharmacies in these hospitals. So one would wonder, is it then that people would go and purchase drugs privately? They're told that we do not have these drugs, so go and buy them from this pharmacy. So now that this directive, because by Friday, national medical stores had begun implementation of this directive.
Yes.
But we must also not forget, for the benefit of our viewers, I remember it was in 2019, to be very specific, in the month of December, when His Excellency issued a directive directing with immediate effect all private pharmacies housed in government health facilities, to be more specific, hospitals, to vacate, to be closed. We waited for this to be implemented, but I was told from corridors that later, allegedly, because I don't have confirmation, at least I have the confirmation of the later, because it was even put in the media, I saw that he told them to hold as we were still discussing with the stakeholders. It was then lately that we've seen this directive following, when you talk about pharmacies, following, you've brought in Dr. Kenyena.
Yes.
Now, one of the areas being investigated is that the first pharmacy in Molago, which is a private pharmacy that has been in Molago.
Yes.
During the time of COVID-19, by then we had the burns unit in Molago Hospital. When you have scars, you've been burnt, that it is alleged that national medical stores had run out of essential medicines, maybe being used to treat people with burns and scars and all that. So, Molago Hospital contracted First Pharmacy to provide these drugs to a tune of 1.4 billion. And when investigations were carried into, it was discovered that only a small bunch of the purported supplies was bought. However, the rest was denied by Chirudu, where the burns unit now shifted to. But payment continued up to a tune of 1.4 billion. Now, because of this proximity, this was a fertile ground for such to happen.
Yes.
Because, Philo, when you move into a government facility, looking at an ordinary mind, people watching us this morning, you move into UBCT, we say, this building, and then a nurse or a doctor, after prescribing, you're told, just go out of this. Just go out of this word.
Just go right next there. There is a pharmacy.
There is
That's
a
why
pharmacy.
you can get them. Yes.
So, and when you go to the pharmacy with this, they tell you pay 50,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you tell that person that facilities in this hospital are free of charge because it is a government hospital, and if anyone tries to charge you, either report, these are the numbers, as you're fighting corruption. This poor person with a receipt, when they come and the nurse or doctor tells them, go and buy, they buy. Then you tell them that now this pharmacy is within, but it is private. They just cannot understand. It's a fertile ground for corruption,
absolutely,
for extortion, unless it is very justified that government cannot provide these medicines. Therefore, this is why we had these pharmacies there. But government has continuously said they provide essential medicines in these government hospitals.
Yes, especially the medicines that are not readily available from the real government institutions. I think that is the line of conversation. But I also love the fact that you talk about corruption, which is, I mean, this right here is a fertile ground for corruption. Now, it also came to light that a number of these pharmacies are operating without licenses, and also some that are occupying some of these government land, or, you know, that are operating on government premises, have not been paying rent. They did talk about, I think it was Ecofarm that has quiet rent areas of about 135 million Ugandan shillings, and also Fast Pharmacy that has rent areas of about 67 million Ugandan shillings. Now, does this actually justify the fact that they provide the essential medicines, you know, when maybe government cannot really avail them in a given moment? Does this really justify? Are we actually not losing out money because of all these?
First, we must, the Ministry of Health must come up clearly, all these hospitals, and really state that yes, there has been providing what government doesn't have.
Yes.
Because I've ever seen Panadol in Fast Pharmacy. We've ever seen Coetam, you know.
Yes.
These are basic drugs that even Health Center 3 in my village has.
Yes.
But they're there. Have ever been told to purchase? From Molago to purchase. Which drugs I really know that any government facility, Coetam, Panadol, the basics, that you know they are there and they are there in plenty. So what has been the role? That is one.
Yes.
Then second, you find that these hospitals, many of them have been having memorandums of understanding that are not clear, that are illegal. When we look at the investigation, so far preliminary reports coming in when Dr. Warren was briefing the media at the media center,
yes,
that even the memorandum of understanding with Fast Pharmacy had irregularities. And that happens, go to Kawempe. There is a pharmacy that was there illegally with nothing.
And you can imagine all these irregularities are happening for about 10 years because that's what the memorandum of understanding stated.
And you know what happens? Government is losing out, but someone is gaining.
Absolutely.
Government loses out because you cannot have a pharmacy for 10 years without paying. Philo, even if it is your own house, you know, there are your rentals. A person cannot be housed there for 10 years without paying. That means these resources are going somewhere else. Definitely. And at the end of the day, you know, these are private, so they come to make profit. If drugs would cost a pack or a set or a dose, maybe 500, okay, maybe 150,000.
Yes.
For them, they can even sell it at 200,000 at the end of the day. So they'll believe that they are only handling what we do not have. But research has proven that even what we have is still in these very pharmacies. There is no forensic audit that is very clear to explain that this has been their role.
Yes.
These have been pharmacies that stock as much as they can.
Wow. That's really interesting. While we are still, you know, dissecting this, I also need to remind you that the poll question is running on all our social media platforms where we want to know some of your thoughts. What do you think about the president's directive asking private pharmacies to vacate government premises? Do share with us your feedback. Of course, we'll be, you know, getting into it as the show happens. The hashtag is UBCGMU and the WhatsApp number is 0709-602-592, or you can even send an SMS text on that very number. Now, Robert, you did talk about forensic auditing earlier on. Now, the letter that was written out by His Excellency, it was directed to all government, rather national referral hospitals. We have regional referral hospitals, even when it comes to the health center 1, 2, 3 stages at all levels, which clearly states that the entire this whole industry was put into the whole system by the president, making sure that it's not only even Mulago, there are very many other hospitals at all levels that are being encroached on by some of these private pharmacies. But now we saw that the Uganda Medical Association came out to us that they do a forensic audit, not just only on Mulago National Referral Hospital. It's not only this hospital, all these other, generally the health sector, they say that it is rotten, it is bad, it is not going so well. Do you actually subscribe to that ideology?
I've been privileged to go to a number of these health facilities, not as a patient, but when I have friends, when I have being deeply rooted in church, when we have, there's that brotherhood.
Yes.
So I've been in public hospitals, and this is what I've discovered. If you want to see where services have deteriorated in our country, go to these facilities. That is where you're going to find that a person is taken from Mulago to go to maybe in Zambia to do a scan of some sort. A person
Mulago cannot do that because what is the problem right there?
on recommendation because of corruption. This is why you're going to find, I'll give you a case of Chirudu because they called for a forensic, but not only in Mulago. You go on a weekend, you don't see any doctor. Any doctor. There may be few intern doctors.
Oh, yes.
You go to the board, they have a nurse board, the doctors on duty. You find there are about 15 that are supposed to be there. When a VIP gets a problem, it's just a phone call. They'll rush and they'll be present. You know?
Yes.
So-and-so's daughter has been brought here, there's an accident here. You will see borders, but these doctors are supposed to be on duty, and it is very clear, even when you come to log in, it is clear that Dr. So are the ones to be on duty. That is one on staffing and human resource. Government is paying people who are present but absent. And the hospital administrators are aware of that. You go to medicines, now this is where we bring in pharmacies. Much as the president said we shouldn't have them in the hospital premises.
Yes.
Because clearly it creates a wrong impression to a layman, these extorters, these fraudulent, non-patriotic Ugandans. It is very obvious that if a person has bought within the premises, because he's not banning pharmacies outside. Because if I move out of Chirudu Hospital, I move out of Mulago, that area is surrounded with pharmacies, because that is where there is quick demand. Let a person leave the hospital and know that, yes, I'm going to a private facility to buy these drugs. But when you go there, getting drugs is a problem. What happens? Know somebody. The very people that have told you we don't have this medicine, you have to go and buy it just at the back there where we have a pharmacy. The medicine will resurface and free of charge.
Yes.
You know, so health facilities have gone away from doing what is right, and now it is all about, are you connected? Who do you know? Can we have these doctors?
Yes.
The medics, go to hygiene.
It's wanting.
It's wanting. And if you want to understand how complicated, these cleaners in these facilities, you're looking for a doctor, you can't see a doctor. The best person to connect you, the askari, the cleaner, oyagala kulaba musawo. Let me go and get you the doctor. Yet government has invested so much. So much. Some have even reached a point of privatizing mortuaries. Yes,
Oh, wow.
Ministry can investigate where a person dies in the hospital, but getting the body. You know, if a person has died in Mulago Hospital, then why do you tell a person that you need like maybe 1 point something to get the corpse? You know, person dies in Chiboga, the mortuary fee is almost higher than, because treatment is supposed to be free. Now I go to get the corpse. The corpse is very expensive, yet it is Jesus of Nazareth. So there's so much rot there.
Oh, well, but now that this has happened, the directive has happened, initially you did talk about how it's a fertile ground for, you know, corruption and all that. And in the last couple of years, we've seen people, not even just years, even recently, we've seen people complain that there are no medicines in this government, you know, institutions. Do you actually think this is one of the main things that drives the fact of corruption, that people or medics or medical personnel really get all these medicines that are supposed to be in government hospitals? They siphon them to take them to their private, because it is also believed that some of these pharmacies are privately owned by some of the medical people, you know, in these hospitals. So do you think that is also one of the main reasons that is driving the, you know, the absence of drugs in these government hospitals, that you find that government will procure that medication, okay, but because of these the greed, and I mean everybody wants to get that extra money, especially the medical people, that they get this medication from these government hospitals and take them to their private hospitals? Do you think that that could actually be one of the main reasons why we're seeing this medication missing from all these, you know, hospitals?
Well, to me it's both sides of the coin.
Yes.
First and foremost, national medical stores have to up their game. Many times they have taken delayed supplies they take some time, or it could be maybe because of bureaucracy.
Yes.
But they take long. I remember recently our Prime Minister, you know, you have an Iron Lady who is so much on ground.
Absolutely.
The Right Honorable Robin Anabanja. She was in Kenyena and a couple of hospitals. And the hospital authorities clearly said to her that we've taken 4 months, 3 months without getting supplies. These are facts, recorded, taped. They are confessing. We last got supplies here 3, 4 months. So what does that mean? Either government has not purchased, or national medical stores has not been able to deliver on time. All these people have taken long to maybe hand in what they need, because not all, there are some drugs that will be given depending on specific diseases that dominate that particular area. Like we've seen in Paris where there's so much malaria. So you will not take maybe drugs of malaria to Karamoja when there isn't that much demand. That is the first area. Quick supplies in and on time. Then second, we can't break out, because we've seen this, where we've seen government drugs being found in private pharmacies. Now, how do they get there? Because one would wonder, Philo, if you're not a doctor, if you're not a medic, how are you going to have access to these drugs? That means they'll tell you these drugs were sent to Kenyena. We've discovered them in a clinic along maybe Kenyena highway.
Yes.
So that means, yes, there is theft of drugs. And these drugs end up nowhere else, because drugs are not sold on streets.
Yes.
They end up in these pharmacies. So these pharmacies, but they have not been in pharmacies within premises, because when you look at National Drug Authority, medical stores, investigations they have done, they have not discovered them in pharmacies within. Maybe they have not bothered, if that could be a problem. But still, you'll find that there will still, drug theft will still find its way in other private pharmacies. I remember we had drugs stolen, I think it was in Kawempa, and they were found in Chiruhura.
Yes.
So, you know, because even the person in this may not bring them so close, because it's easy to identify them. So drug theft, we agree it is there, and there the drug flow chain has to be tightened, strengthened, and of course I was happy recently I saw people in court charged for stealing drugs and something like that. There's so much that is being done in that direction.
Okay.
But these private pharmacies leaving government premises, it is going to unearth so much. Are we going to see people die because they can't get the drugs, yet with these private pharmacies they were able? Then that would be a sweet sour pill.
Which actually brings me to the next question as we come to the conclusion of this. Do you think this will be the most effective way to, you know, ensure that drug theft is really cut out, and all these issues that we've been having, the indifferences between privately owned pharmacies and occupying the government premises? Do you think this is going to be the end of it, or we still have a lot more that we can bring to the table to make sure that we get rid of this vice?
To me, I don't think this is going to do anything as far as fighting drug theft, because most of the drugs so far, basing on evidence available, none of these drugs have been found in premises of private pharmacies within hospitals. Many of these drugs find their ways out. Others have been gotten in buckets of cleaners within the premises,
yes,
but not in these pharmacies. Maybe they have not been given a keen eye to investigate, as media have only reported. So that may not. However, what it shall do, I believe, this issue, because of proximity, that someone can easily tell you just slope down, there's a pharmacy, pay by. If a nurse, a doctor will be at least compelled to go in the stores, in the government pharmacy,
yes,
and get the drug, than telling a patient, move outside here, about some distance you'll find a pharmacy. Here it has been very easy. You know, for someone, just down there, pay, I can leave, bring money, I go.
It's very easy.
It's very easy.
Just, yes.
So proximity is the problem. Then second, the dealings, other dealings, like the 1.4 billion because there's a pharmacy within there, other dealings, the money is people are not paying rent, maybe someone else is getting that money, you know, other dealings. But drug theft, this is not a step that is going to fight.
Yes, it's still a war that we are still battling with.
Very, very
Oh, well.
much so.
Really,
and if you are
really.
to fight it, we also must look at the name behind the names. You see, corruption in Uganda, I want to tell you yourself and any business person, an ordinary Ugandan, cannot have a pharmacy in a government premise and you take 10 years without paying rent. Unless we are determined to take that sour pill in our country and say, let's look at these big-headed people that are committing these offenses with impunity. Let's sacrifice them for the good of our country and generations to come. But I think we are still not willing. When you investigate the hotel, don't touch. That is hot charcoal.
This is a no-go area for you if you're going to do the investigations, go around it.
You can't. We are not yet there.
Oh well, we are not yet there, but at least we are taking baby steps to make sure that we get rid of this issue. And of course, I would actually want to say, Robert, the 10 years when you're not paying rent, clearly it states that there is somebody who is taking this money and the records are not showing. There is no accountability.
There is hot charcoal that you don't touch. It can make you lose. Yes.
Oh well, we hope that we have to do all that we have to do to make sure that we get to the bottom of this. And I can guarantee you that with the way things are going, with the pressure that is being exerted, we can only hope that we get to see what we want to see. We get to know what is causing all this, and probably when we do that, we can get tangible solutions to the problem at hand. Well, in the next few minutes, we'll be looking at what is happening in the print media, of course, with a press review, and much later on, we'll also be taking to the roads to see the situation, how it is, and of course, we'll also be bringing you some more information concerning weather and more from the climate arena, and of course, that will be Mollen in to fill you up with all that. And thereafter, we'll also be having the GMU agenda, not forgetting the sports updates that will be coming in from Ruben. And hey, remember that the question is still running, the morning poll question on our social media platforms, where we actually think, rather we would love to know what you think about the president's directive asking private pharmacies to vacate government premises. This is far from over. We'll be getting into your feedback shortly, right after the break. Good morning.
Patriotism is a feeling of love, devotion, and the willingness to sacrifice for one's country.
I say no to corruption because I put my country first. I choose peace over violence because I put my country first.
I love Uganda. I serve Uganda. I sacrifice for Uganda. I'm loyal to Uganda. I love myself.
Be patriotic. Uganda first. This message is brought to you by the National Secretariat for Patriotism Uganda, Office of the President.
Double MBs. For the same price on daily bundles with Airtel, now you get double MBs for twice your enjoyment. For 250 shillings, you now get double. That's 30 MBs. For only 500 shillings, you get 80 MBs. And for 1,000 Uganda shillings, enjoy 180 MBs. All valid for 24 hours. Dial *175# or use the My Airtel app to enjoy double MBs on your daily bundles for the exact same price. With Airtel, the smartphone network.
Raising voices.
I feel happy when my mother spends time with me. I hope all mothers will like my mother. I want my mother to reach out to all mothers. She knows how important it is to be a good mother. I promise to help my mother inspire other mothers to change.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Patriotism is a feeling of love, devotion, and the willingness to sacrifice for one's country.
I say no to corruption because I put my country first. I choose peace over violence because I put my country first.
I love Uganda. I serve Uganda. I sacrifice for Uganda. I'm loyal to Uganda. I love myself.
Be patriotic. Uganda first. This message is brought to you by the National Secretariat for Patriotism Uganda, Office of the President.
Double MBs. For the same price on daily bundles with Airtel, now you get double MBs for twice your enjoyment. For 250 shillings, you now get double. That's 30 MBs. For only 500 shillings, you get 80 MBs. And for 1,000 Uganda shillings, enjoy 180 MBs. All valid for 24 hours. Dial *175# or use the My Airtel app to enjoy double MBs on your daily bundles for the exact same price. With Airtel, the smartphone network.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Patriotism is a feeling of love, devotion, and the willingness to sacrifice for one's country.
I say no to corruption because I put my country first. I choose peace over violence because I put my country first.
I love Uganda. I serve Uganda. I sacrifice for Uganda. I'm loyal to Uganda. I love myself.
Be patriotic. Uganda first. This message is brought to you by the National Secretariat for Patriotism Uganda, Office of the President.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
And in the papers this morning, we start off a daily monitor where we take a look at how cough, flu in children overwhelm hospitals. And of course, pediatricians have come out to speak out, and they say that some of the children present with high temperature and vomiting as hospitals officials in different parts of the country cry out over avalanche of cases of severe flu, cough and other respiratory illnesses. And also in the regional news, family claims Kayunga Town Council officers' land. We also take a look at Chinese farm to start work on oil field in July. And also taking at the big picture right there, Kumi Diocese finally gets bishop. Now, of course, this comes from the line of consecration. And more news coming in from NSSF, which tests mid-term pay system as applications start. And for those of you who are so hard onto your health, well, there is some health living for you here, and kidney disease and all you need to know about it. And then Ombachi College closed over strike, plus pharmacies in hospitals shut. Also Pope Francis to visit South Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo. And taking at some of the thoughts of the lizard, he doesn't have to worry about security there. Well, we'll see how far that goes. And when you get onto the second page, Museveni tips councillors on the parish development model. And he did ask councillors from Wakiso district to spearhead the parish development model in their communities. And also we look at about 5 soldiers who were yesterday killed by a mine in Niger's southwestern Torodi region, according to the Defense Ministry. And also inquiry into Congo plunder starts. Now this is today in history, but also police beat up civil rights protesters. Make sure you grab yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor to see more of those stories. And now onto the New Vision.
We have Joshua Cheptegei on top of the world again. Well, that's the athlete who made it there. Still midterm cash, NSSF explains pay rates. Those who apply between July and October to forfeit interests. Why? Well, the New Vision gives you more of that. Districts on spot over vaccine cash. That is, the Ministry of Health says 28.9 billion was given to districts across the country for COVID-19 vaccination exercise. But of the 28.9 billion, the districts have only accounted for, that is 36.024 million. And still we look at harvesting money, how to get money from briquettes, and the electricity benefits of government, that is takeover of Jacobson. And still Kumi Diocese gets new bishop. Now moving to the second page of the New Vision this morning, we have That is 1 billion for youth empowerment, 1 billion shillings for youth empowerment there. And still the New Vision takes you down the memory line. Today in history it was on this very date, but the year 2001, UPDF deploys for elections. Still on the same date, the year 1987, Tyson wins boxing title. And there is a picture there, people dancing. That is dancing in the Lord's house. Well, still we look at the COVID-19 tracker. For Uganda, new confirmed cases are 22, positivity rate is at 0.6. Then total accumulative cases so far, we stand at 163,338. Death, 2 persons have succumbed to COVID-19 recently, and accumulative death now is at 3,590 persons who have died of COVID-19 in Uganda. Once again, it is not all done. Go get vaccinated because the disease is still with us and lives are being lost due to COVID-19. Moving to the sports, we have Cheptegei's world lead, and Nama Go here fires a brace, and still she reigns in Group B. But don't forget, these and more when you get yourself a copy of the New Vision.
And moving on to the Monitor Sports, Bogere guides Budu to second Masaza Cup. Now, Robert, I know that you are one of the people who are in high anticipation of this cup. Probably you'll be filling us in with more details. I don't know whether you are in attendance, but it's time to prove that. And also, Kabasweka wins Entebbe Ladies Open. And that, of course, is she was claiming the first win of the season at the 12th KCB Bank Entebbe Ladies Golf Open Championship. And Villa seek to reprieve in cup match. And taking a look at Kipchoge, who missed out on new record in Tokyo Marathon win. But also big incentives ahead of Women's Day Woodball Open. And also briefly, want to have state funeral in Australia. Now, she was a legend. She was a cricket Australian legend. And more details surpassing this are in the paper. And brilliant LeBron scores 56 to down Warriors, and Erickson and Williams share comic moment. And also right there we see fine stats for Kibet Lenny at the first UAF trials, and the team unlikely hero as she corporate soar to the FWSL summit. So make sure you grab yourself this copy of the Daily Monitor and New Vision to be able to get all of these stories. Now, Robert, did you attend the Masaza Cup?
Philo, I was very eager to attend the Masaza Cup,
yes.
But on the way I changed my mind.
Why?
Reason being, I saw how the youth were being taken up by moments. You would see the excitement, and I figured out what could happen in case one team won, and good enough it did, and that was the team I was supporting anyway because of some roots in that direction. But to be honest, I saw a lot of recklessness, I saw a lot of carelessness, and our dear youth, let moments not really take up your life, because at the end of the day, we lost lives. We lost lives because of this excitement. You know, people had plucked off doors of vehicles, bonnets of vehicles. You see, it was, you know, in windows. You're just excited, but at the end of the day, you lose a life in such. So I think there's something that we must do regarding our behavior in terms of excitement.
I think indeed it's still wanting. I just never understand why it has to be very violent, why people actually can take the fact that probably they have lost. So maybe it just gets back to us how you react, and self-control is really necessary. And at the end of the day, it's just a game. Even when you are really passionate about it, you need to come to terms with the fact that you could be a winner, but you could also be a loser. Well, it's about the time we also see what's happening in the Daily Nation this morning. And we start off with Kipchoge Kosgei role in Tokyo. Well, still making news right there, and that was Eliud and break marathon course records in the men's and women's races respectively. And there is also a special report over there inside the Yala killing fields. Now, of course, Daily Nation made some investigations, and it has revealed uncomfortable truths about the identities of dozens of the young men killed and dumped in a river in Saya. Really, really sad right there. And this included their shared criminal reports. And also in the education field, we see the KCPE exams starting amid insecurity in parts of the country. And also in the politics column, we see battle of the Peters. Who is going to take what?
Well, very interesting as our brothers and sisters in Kenya gear up for elections very soon. All we hope is a peaceful one. I just enjoy how we are seeing Ruto and of course the other side carrying on their work there. We just hope that one thing that is clear is we want a peaceful East Africa. You know, when Kenyans cough, we sneeze, we have a feel of it. If there is instability there, in one way or the other, you know, we are a landlocked country. That is where we get our goods from. So we just hope for the best in that particular area. But also, Philo, there's a story you touched, which the Daily Monitor brought out very well, is this flu and cough. And we are wondering why now and why to this magnitude. Recently, the Ministry of Education, in conjunction with the Ministry of Health, talked about vaccinating those that are 12 to 17 years, starting with those that actually have underlying health factors or conditions that they should be vaccinated. But I think we should have an in-depth investigation to ascertain, is this just cough and flu, where they present themselves with temperature, as they are vomiting and they are coughing? You know, you look at these infants, go to any kindergarten or preschool, you'll find that almost every child that comes out is having a cough, they're having a flu, and we know some of them go and visit the elderly who, if in any way or the other contact respiratory diseases, and by bad luck they get in touch with COVID-19, then the situation will go out of hand. So I think it's something we shouldn't just talk about, report about, but give due diligence in terms of investigating, because these attack the respiratory system. And just figure out an old person having this kind of flu at one point and they contract COVID-19. I believe there's something that so much has to be done in this direction by the Ministry of Health and also the Education, giving us a conclusive report of what is really happening.
Well, we hope we can get more on that eventually. However, getting to some of your responses and feedback in regards to the poll question, where we did ask, what do you think about the government's directive asking all these private pharmacies to vacate the government premises? And some of the response coming in is that we've gone to public hospitals on several occasions, and they prescribe for us drugs. We go to hospitals and pharmacies, and they write for us out of stock, even for the very basic drugs like paracetamol, Coartem, etc, etc. So where would you want the patients to go to? If you are admitted in Mlago and such drugs are prescribed for you, so now you would prefer to buy the drugs from a nearby pharmacy like First Pharmacy or Freka, which is in Wandegea. Well, there are government drugs sold in such pharmacies, especially the private pharmacies. Well, keep the feedback flowing in. Of course, we'll be sharing, but it's about the time we also get onto the road and to see what is happening as you're trying to access the city center. Now, if you are especially from the Nakawa division, because that's where I'm going to center the focus, and that of course includes areas like Chambogo, Banda, Lugogo, and as you're approaching the city center, well, we see quite a whole lot of red dots dominating, which tells you that yes, the traffic situation is a bit crazy. It's a Monday morning, and that definitely doesn't come in as a surprise. Right from Nakawa over there, you can see that this whole route is dominated by the red spots. From here all the way coming in from all this side, right before Nakawa, there is a green stretch, which is okay. But what you need to worry about is when you reach Nakawa, what happens? And that is where all these orange spots, the red spots, are very, very dominant. Yes, the traffic is heavy right there because everybody is trying to make use of the road, getting to the city center, getting out of the city center. As you can see, it is detailed over here. Now, orange definitely shows you that there is a traffic build-up. It could be heavy, it could be a little bit light, but when it's heavy, eventually it culminates into these red spots that you see over here. Now, we also have roads coming in to join this Nakawa road. We have the Ntinda road, which shows you that it's a little bit heavy all the way down here. And as you're linking, there is a traffic build-up. And as you go ahead where you see this red spot, there is also a linking spot as you're using Katalima road to get to the city center. So if you're coming in from those shortcuts, clearly you have a lot to expect, and also you have a lot of patience that you'll be expected to exercise on the road. Now, as you go ahead, you are approaching Lugogo, and I want to tell you that the situation is not any different. Matter of fact, the red spots are and the stretches are going way longer than anticipated. So you need while you are getting closer to entering the road, there is quite a traffic build-up here, and it's very, very heavy. So you need to take note of that. Now, as you proceed, you go all the way through Lugogo, but you also need to expect all this traffic build-up because they are really dominant. We do have quite some darker spots here, which shows you that the traffic is very, very hard to navigate through. So you need to know that your street is way longer as you're accessing this roundabout. So be very careful and be very ready, because also these spots have a lot of chaos. Everyone is trying to fight for their space on the road. Now, also getting into this main road, you can see all the way from Old Port Bay Road, the traffic build-up gets heavier and heavier as you're approaching the linking spot. So that's very important for you to take note as you're getting into the city center. Now, the traffic is usually crazy for the people who are getting into the city center. However, if you're leaving, it's really nothing to worry about. So be ready for that. And also, just to urge you, please just don't drink and drive. It's terrible. I did have an experience this morning, and I felt so bad for the person who was driving, whoever, because there were about like 2 people in the car. So just be very careful. If you're not sober enough to drive, don't sit in that driver's seat, because you're compromising your life and other people who could probably be in that vehicle with you. Right about now, we also need to know what is happening in the world of climate. What news do we have this morning, Mollen? Good morning.
Well, good morning to you, Philo, and I can tell you it's not that the best news to hear when you see that the Arctic is getting warmer and warmer. This is the coldest place around the world, and what we're seeing from what the report that did come out yesterday, and also throughout the analysis that came out from the week, is showing that instead of getting, reducing temperatures around the Arctic, it's actually getting warmer. So that's where my worry is, Philo.
I also have a feeling that eventually it has an effect on us, but we can only hope and pray for the best. Well, that's it from the traffic updates this morning. I am Philomena. Mastiko. Mollen is coming through to still take you on, and of course, amazing and awesome programming still continues right here on Good Morning Uganda, where we're coming to you live from UBC TV. Have a wonderful and grateful, productive Monday morning. Good morning.
Well, thank you, Philo, for that. And, talking more about what did come out from NASA analysis and also NOAA. Now, we are seeing that there is more reports of the Arctic warming. What does this mean, and what does it have to do with the records that we have right now? Now, this analysis was done for the month of February this year, looking at how far we've gone. And so far, I can tell you we do have a plus 4.09 degrees Celsius. Now, that is after the pre-industrial level. You look at the period between 1951 and 1980. So that is how we're warming. Now, you do have to remember that in 2015, when the world leaders set out to set a target on how the world will be warming, even looking at the next 20 to 30 years, we said that at least what was agreed on according to the Paris Agreement is that we have to keep the temperature rise to at least well below 2 degrees Celsius. But that is not what is happening in 2022, because if we are seeing the Arctic warming up to that level, it could only mean that even the targets that were set for 2050 will indicate that we can't achieve that target of even keeping the warmer the warming trend to just 1.5 degrees Celsius. So this means that we will have more snow melting across the area, and that means that even when we look at the Arctic warming, it means even the rest of the world is actually warming, and that is where we are. It's no secret that we have seen more warming trends, and that has obviously fueled into what we're seeing right now on extreme weather events across the world. Now, talking about extreme weather events also throughout the weekend, we did have continuous heavy downpour across Australia, and this brought in a lot of flooding across the country's east part, and that is also from Sydney, Australia, where right now the death toll from the flooding has risen to 17. Now, the rain started by Friday, Saturday into Sunday, and this number actually did come out yesterday, where local authorities were confirming that so far 17 people have died from these floodings across Sydney and also to the eastern part of Australia. Now, this has also added to the number that we have so far from the extreme weather events that we're seeing across the world, right from the flooding cases to the droughts, the tropical cyclones that we've recently been seeing, especially across Africa's island, that is across Madagascar. This is only adding to what we're calling effects of climate change, because we're seeing more and more of this happening across the world. And you know, the pictures that are coming in from Sydney just showing much of the city underwater, and this is what we're talking about. When you have those continuous rains that, you know, are frequent over the area, then you're looking at cases of flooding, then you're looking at more of the effect that the flooding can bring, besides, you know, the destruction of property and houses and, you know, cars being, you know, underwater. But you look at the death of people as well. And so far, the ones we had, the report that we have from yesterday indicates 17, but local authorities are still investigating to see if there are still more people dying from this flooding, because the rains actually are increasing across that area. Now, there has been quite a question about nuclear energy recently. Now, this follows Russia's attack on Ukraine, and I did have a lot of people come to my inbox and even ask me, is this having any implication on climate, on our environment? What does it mean when we see you know, wars that involve nuclear energy? And also it follows the story yesterday that did come out to show that the picture that you're seeing there is one of the nuclear plants in Ukraine that so far we know for sure that Russia has moved to, and they have already taken control of that nuclear plant. So I did have people ask me, what does this you know, indicate towards, you know, the climate? And I can tell you one thing, we have been talking about fossil fuels, you know, posing a danger because they do have effects on increasing greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere. But what happens when you have nuclear energy being targeted on? If there are explosives from this kind of plant, this radiation will go into the atmosphere. Now, radiation is not all good. Now, what can at least make us relax and be at ease is that nuclear energy is actually kind of clean energy. So it is not like fossil fuels where it is bringing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere or these other you know, greenhouse gases. However, you also need to look into the radiation. Now, the more we have nuclear energy, some scientists are arguing that this could be actually a solution, because it does bring out the same emissions as the ones you would have, you know, just small emissions from what we would have as renewable energy. So yes, nuclear energy doesn't pose a challenge or a threat to the environment. However, the radiations that are coming from this, all the chemicals around the making of the plant itself, might not be safe. So this is not something that we should be opting for, or if there is an attack on a nuclear plant, we might just be seeing, you know, a few of the effects of, you know, maybe the chemicals within the plant, but itself as nuclear energy is actually clean energy, so it doesn't pose, you know, effect to climate or environment. So that's the good news, but that doesn't mean that we're happy about what is going on. We are not supporting that. Maybe just because we want to move from fossil fuels, then we should invest in nuclear energy. No, I don't think that is something that we should be happy about, and looking at what could happen. Yes, it doesn't pose too much threat to the environment, but there are also other chemicals that could be around the plant. So that's where the challenge is. But well, away from that, we want to come back home and take a look into what the satellites are tapping for now from over Uganda. But also I want to look at the effect of what we're seeing right now. We've had continuous dry weather across the country, but this has been attributed to the low pressure systems that continue to develop over the Indian Ocean. Now, these are mostly close to Madagascar. Now, right now, they're not categorized into, tropical storms or cyclones, but just low pressure systems. And I'll show you where those are, where you see the red colors close to Madagascar here. Those are the low pressure systems. Now, we do have one that is also in the Mozambique Channel, just between Madagascar and Mozambique. So that is also a low pressure system. Now, what happens is that when you have those there, then you have all the winds from within this area, which we call the rain belt. Now you see these continuous clouds from those red colors to blue. Now that is what is called the rain belt. Now what happens is that much of this is just going to follow into the line of where the low pressure systems are, and because of that you see more of the rain bearing clouds actually moving southwards, more towards the low pressure systems. Now what does that mean to Uganda is that we will still have moisture, all the moisture and rain bearing clouds also towards the same area. That leaves us with only dry weather, and that is what is explaining the dry conditions that we have, or the dry spells that we have across the country for now. Now we have seen at least a little bit of Lake Victoria influencing weather across our country, and that means at least locally we do get to see some rains. Now the sad part about what happened even from last night into the early hours of today morning is that we don't even have that system there, so we are only seeing at least a few clouds that are developing, but also south of Lake Victoria, so that won't be bringing a lot of effect towards the Lake Victoria Basin as well. Now we are waking up to mostly dry weather, like I said, due to those continuous low pressure systems that are building up over the Indian Ocean, and we are seeing much more of dry weather also mostly towards the northern part of the country as well as eastern Uganda. But we'll be looking into our forecast for this morning and see what the weather is looking like in terms of the forecast that we have, and that is coming in from the Uganda National Meteorological Authority to see some of the places that we're expecting this morning. We are starting off with the eastern part of Lake Victoria. That is where we have Tororo, Busia, Iganga and Jinja. We're forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine, starting off with a hot 30 degrees across that area, and we're expecting that to continue into the afternoon. So that means it will only be getting warmer across that area. Now, eastern Uganda, Soroti, Katakuya, Muria and Kumi, we're also forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine for this morning, starting off with 28, but we are expecting temperatures to also go into the lower 30s by afternoon, because likely we are maintaining those sunny intervals and it will only get hotter for that area. Now we look into the eastern side of Central, where we have Wero, Woblenzi, Buduli, Nakaseke. We have Nakasongla in that category as well, starting off with sunny conditions. Now mostly that will also continue into the afternoon. We're starting off with 29, but that will also be getting only hotter later in the day. Now, northern Uganda continues to actually warm up. We are starting off with a 33 for this morning. Now, you can imagine one of the hottest days in Kampala if you are around Kampala. That is what northern Uganda is starting with. Now, that is by noon. We'll be hitting 33 across that area. It's only getting much hotter for there. Starting off with sunny intervals, but we do expect to have more sunshine even in the afternoon. So that will only be getting much hotter. A central part of Lake Victoria, we have Kampala, Entebbe, Wakiso, we have Mukono. We're forecasting also, intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions, starting off with quite a warm 28 degrees centigrade, but we're also expecting quite a warm day for that area also as we head into the afternoon, because likely we will maintain most of those sunny intervals. Now, across Mount Elgon Highland, that is Mbale, Bududa, Bukra and Sironko, we're still forecasting those mix of clouds and sunshine, starting off with a hot 28 as well. Now also that will be getting more hotter later in the afternoon across Mount Elgon Highlands. And we can only also hope that temperatures will be getting higher. Now, one of the areas that are really hot for now in the country, even as we head into the afternoon, that is northern Uganda and the eastern part of the country. Now, you can look out for that. If you're traveling over there, then you would know you need to, keep your water bottle with you, also put on light clothes. But also if you're around there, then you need to be aware that this is going to feel like it is a local heat wave, I want to quote it that way, because at 33, starting off with a 33, for example, in northern Uganda, that will be really hot. But we're also expecting that in the afternoon, that's when temperatures will be getting higher. So that's when you have what I'm quoting as a heat wave. It will really feel really hot, and that is something that you should brace yourself for. But also here in Kampala and the rest of Lake Victoria Basin, it's not like we're safe, because we're also looking into, the lower 30s for now. That is in the forecast. Now that is also coming through because of the pressure systems that are building up south of Africa. But we're hoping that once those are clearing off, then we can head on and have a little bit of rains that will help keep temperatures down. But we'll be giving you more of those updates here during our sessions in Good Morning Uganda, where we do have the agenda coming up. Robert will be here to take you through that. And then later on, Ruben will also be taking you through sports. Not forgetting that after that, we will have Good Morning Uganda Extra by Jagenda Semakula. Well, I want to wish you a wonderful week and a good morning. My name is Mollen, Kenyena.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
COVID-19 is still here with us. As Professor Maggie Chigozi states, the time is now for all of us to get vaccinated.
When we have one person who's not vaccinated, it affects everybody around them, most especially the ones close to you. Keep your family safe. Anyone right now who's over 18 should go and get vaccinated.
Because of the new COVID-19 circulating variants like Omicron, it is very important for all of us to be fully vaccinated with 2 doses of the same vaccine type. It's only those getting Johnson & Johnson who receive only a single dose to be fully protected.
Even after vaccination, continue to adhere to all SOPs by wearing a mask properly, covering your mouth and nose, washing your hands regularly with soap and clean water, or using an alcohol-based sanitizer, maintaining physical distance of at least 2 meters from others, and avoiding crowds. Echa COVID-19, chija kugwa. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF and partners.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
Tulantende ku program obulamu
was brought to you by
Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Your MBs are now bigger MBs only on MTN. When you load a daily bundle of 250 shillings, you no longer get 15 MBs, you get 30 MBs. For 500 shillings, you no longer get 40 MBs, you get 80 MBs. For 1,000 shillings, it's no longer 100 MBs, it's 180 MBs. Dial *150 *10 hash or use the My MTN app to load bigger daily bundles only on MTN. MTN is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
National Medical Stores is a government agency mandated to buy, store and distribute medicines and medical supplies to government health facilities in Uganda. For Ugandans that we serve, help us serve you better by taking your individual responsibilities seriously. Report theft of government medicines and medical supplies to the nearest police station or to the State House Health Monitoring Unit. Do not pay for any medicines or medical supplies labeled Government of Uganda, not for sale. Do all that is within your means to stop all preventable diseases, including COVID-19. Continue observing the Ministry of Health Standard Operating Procedures, SOPs, including wearing a face mask whenever you are in public spaces. Visit a designated health facility to receive your COVID-19 vaccination and a booster dose for those that are eligible. Prevention is better than cure. National Medical Stores, passionate about your life.
Raising voices.
As a mother, my children depend on me to make this world a safer place for them. I'm not afraid to act when I see violence in the home and in my community. I promise to talk to my neighbors and friends about how we can nurture and protect the children.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
You know, you could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate their 100% double data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles for 3 months. Better yet, you automatically receive free 1 GB valid for 30 days. You are hooked already, aren't you? Enjoy 100% double data bonus from Airtel. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Dial *175 hash and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's time to learn. Schools are open. As a student, school life is going to be different. You must follow the COVID-19 prevention measures, which include always maintaining a 2-meter distance from others in class, dormitories, entertainment halls, school vans and playgrounds, regularly washing your hands with soap and water, wearing a washed and clean mask that covers your mouth and nose every day, and encouraging your classmates to do the same. Your teachers will also guide you on how to follow SOPs. Don't engage in violence with other students. Report any cases of abuse by teachers or other children to a senior teacher. Those who don't follow the rules should be immediately reported to a class teacher for correction and further guidance. If you experience flu-like symptoms such as a sore throat, fever, dry cough or body weakness, immediately seek medical attention from the school nurse and inform your class teacher. Whenever you sneeze or cough, please remember to cover your nose and mouth with a bent elbow, tissue, or handkerchief. Let's share knowledge, not COVID-19. This message is supported by the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Sports, and UNICEF. Stay safe.
Patriotism is a feeling of love, devotion, and the willingness to sacrifice for one's country.
I say no to corruption because I put my country first. I choose peace over violence because I put my country first.
Patriotic, Uganda first. This message is brought to you by the National Secretariat for Patriotism Uganda, Office of the President.
Double MBs! For the same price on daily bundles with Airtel, now you get double MBs for twice your enjoyment. For 250 shillings, you now get double. That's 30 MBs. For only 500 shillings, you get 80 MBs. And for 1,000 Uganda shillings, enjoy 180 MBs, all valid for 24 hours. Dial *175 hash or use the My Airtel app to enjoy double MBs on your daily bundles for the exact same price. With Airtel, the smartphone network.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Ginger Tea drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
COVID-19 is still here with us. As Professor Maggie Chigozi states, the time is now for all of us to get vaccinated.
When we have one person who's not vaccinated, it affects everybody around them, most especially the ones close to you. Keep your family safe. Anyone right now who's over 18 should go and get vaccinated.
Because of the new COVID-19 circulating variants like Omicron, it is very important for all of us to be fully vaccinated with 2 doses of the same vaccine type. It's only those getting Johnson & Johnson who receive only a single dose to be fully protected.
Even after vaccination, continue to adhere to all SOPs by wearing a mask properly, covering your mouth and nose, washing your hands regularly with soap and clean water or using an alcohol-based sanitizer, maintaining physical distance of at least 2 meters from others and avoiding crowds. Echa COVID-19, chija kugwa. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF and partners.
Patriotism is a feeling of love, devotion, and the willingness to sacrifice for one's country.
I say no to corruption because I put my country first. I choose peace over violence because I put my country first.
I love Uganda. I serve Uganda. I sacrifice for Uganda. I'm loyal to Uganda. I love myself.
Be patriotic. Uganda first. This message is brought to you by the National Secretariat for Patriotism Uganda, Office of the President.
Double MBs! For the same price on daily bundles with Airtel, now you get double MBs for twice your enjoyment. For 250 shillings, you now get double. That's 30 MBs. For only 500 shillings, you get 80 MBs. And for 1,000 Uganda shillings, enjoy 180 MBs, all valid for 24 hours. Dial *175# or use the My Airtel app to enjoy double MBs on your daily bundles for the exact same price. With Airtel, the smartphone network.
National Medical Stores is a government agency mandated to buy, store and distribute medicines and medical supplies to government health facilities in Uganda. For Ugandans that we serve, help us serve you better by taking your individual responsibilities seriously. Report theft of government medicines and medical supplies to the nearest police station or to the State House Health Monitoring Unit. Do not pay for any medicines or medical supplies labeled Government of Uganda, not for sale. Do all that is within your means to stop all preventable diseases, including COVID-19. Continue observing the Ministry of Health Standard Operating Procedures, SOPs, including wearing a face mask whenever you are in public spaces. Visit a designated health facility to receive your COVID-19 vaccination and a booster dose for those that are eligible. Prevention is better than cure. National Medical Stores, passionate about your life.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
15 minutes after 8 a.m. Thank you for joining us right here on Good Morning Uganda Agenda. Well, it's still happening. My name is Philomena Mastiko, and I do have Robert Kirabo right here with me. And in this agenda this morning, we're going to be discussing more concerning the midterm NSSF access. Now, of course, the applications are starting today. But if we're going to go briefly into the history of this, NSSF midterm access, it has gone through a whole whirlwind of procedures. It has come before different committees. We saw it actually come before the 10th Parliament, who passed it and eventually presented it to His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni for ascension. But he didn't sign towards it because there were some missing things, some wanting things that were still pending. And they pushed it eventually to the 11th Parliament, who also did the same. And finally, His Excellency did he did sign, and well, very many people are excited. But before we diverge right into it, maybe Robert, you could tell us, what is this NSSF midterm access? What is it all about?
Well, very interesting, and I like the background you've given, that this has been applied for many savers with NSSF. Of course, we know not all Ugandans save with NSSF, but the few, and I want to repeat the word, the few that save with NSSF were craving for it, saying it beats their understanding that maybe, Philo, you have an emergency, you have an investment idea, but you have to wait until you clock the age to qualify for your money. So they pushed for midterm, that in case someone has not clocked the mandatory age for them to be out of work, as by NSSF when they should get their lump sum, couldn't there be a way where someone midway, that's why it's called mid-term, that maybe midway someone can get some money and do a number of things. And when COVID-19 came in, we saw many that had gotten ill, others had lost their sources of income, and the workers pushed for this so much. Good enough, it saw the light of the day, and we saw in the 11th Parliament, His Excellency assenting to it. Then there, it had to be gazetted, 60 days given there to the minister to come up with a framework of how, or a law that is going to stipulate how beneficiaries are going to be getting their money. And today, being the 7th, is the first day for people now that have clocked 45 years and have saved with the National Social Security Fund for at least 10 years.
10 years.
10 years. At least 10 years to access up to 20% of their savings. Meaning you can access 10% if you wish, you can access 5% if you wish, but minimum percentage of what you have there must be 20%. If you have a disability, for persons with disabilities, and they have clocked 40 years, for them they can access up to 50% of their savings in terms of midterm. So this is what is happening here. That you don't have to be like maybe Brother Atora saved for 20 years. The man feels maybe he has seen a piece of land, that maybe someone is selling a house, he has a problem, and brother says, but I have my savings. In 45 days, according to the minister, from the day you applied, if they look through and you qualify, you've met, because it's not all about saying automatically I've saved with NSSF and now I've clocked 45 years. For the 10 years I just move straight and get my money. There is a well-stipulated process or procedure for you to get your money. So you go, you get your money. Maybe someone is selling off a business. You buy this business, or you use this money to invest, so that by that time you finally reach your final retirement age and you qualify to get this money. Maybe you're just adding into something you already established, because there was also that complaint that, you know what happens, people get this money when there isn't much they can do now. 55, someone maybe they no longer have those energies, but at 45 someone said life starts at 45. You still have, and of course even if you blunder with this 20%, you have the other balance that now you've learned a lesson, rather than blundering with all that you have and all that you've gotten.
Maybe that is why they actually specified it to a certain percentage. Although there was quite a number of people who actually thought that anybody should access any amount they need. But I mean, when you think about it, sometimes it may not be.
Then, you know, it would beat the whole impact or the whole essence of social security.
Absolutely.
Because let's understand, why did we have, or why do we have NSSF?
Yes.
Because this is what they were looking at, that finally, when you're out of active service, you need a package. You need something that is going to sail you through social security. Now, others have the pension scheme. No, they keep on getting and all that. But for these people in this world, for them, what is there for them? So have a lump sum. That is why we've seen many of them have gotten this money and built rentals.
Yes.
Because maybe they're business mind at some level, and you know how hectic and hustling here and there. So many have maybe built rentals, some have bought off houses, those that have some meaningful monies there. Have been able to buy houses so that either they're not going to be getting daily or monthly earnings for them to pay rent. So he says he buys a house. Another one says, no, I build my rentals, they'll be giving me money for social security purposes. Now, if midterm was that someone gets a lump, you can go and get an amount. If someone shoots in the wrong direction, squanders, like the prodigal son, would have nothing left for them. So for me, I buy this. Yes. Okay. 20% is big, not big enough.
But it helps you gauge.
It helps you, depending on how much your savings are.
Yes.
Because one even cracked a joke and said, people that have huge monies there may not need even midterm.
Yes.
You know, because they are getting good pay, maybe. If you look at how many people in 10 years can maybe have about 50 million with NSSF, given an average amount of money that someone earns, salary that someone earns, where NSSF deducts. Very few on average. I don't know, our viewers can help us. On average, a person who has worked for 10 years in Uganda, how much money, given average salary scale, do they have with NSSF? If they're to get 20%, what meaningful investment? Some are arguing. Then also comes in the trouble now, that the interest you get on this amount of money.
Yes.
You know, like when you go to get a loan in the bank, they'll tell you maybe you're going to return with an interest rate of 15, 20%. So even with NSSF, because we believe these monies that NSSF is keeping, they are used for investment. And every financial year, NSSF has come out to clearly state that this is the interest rate, this is what we've gotten. So for you, a saver, this interest is coming to your savings. Now, here we have people who will apply before a financial year. You know, our financial year begins from the 1st of July, and it runs, I think, up to the 30th of June.
Yes.
Those are 12 months. So people who may apply before this financial year may end up getting an interest of about 2.5. 2.5 may not mean so much.
Yes.
May not mean so much to the savers. And that means that their interest, 2.5, if maybe you have about, let me say, 50 million with NSSF. What is 20% of 50 million? Simple mathematics. You have 50 million with NSSF. What is 20%? If you're to get 20% of that, you know, even if you had 100 million, 20% would maybe be about 20M. Now, if 20M is going to come with about 2.5, you find that you're not even getting maybe 3 extra millions on the money you have.
Yes.
So that would mean it is very minimal, really very minimal. And we are looking at this money having an impact. But the good thing is this is optional. You can choose to get your money or leave it there and only get it at the stipulated age or said age. But if you go for it, to me, I think the only joy I find in this is that people are going to experience.
Yes. They will.
People are going to have an experience, because the biggest challenge has been that this person now has a lump sum. He's saying because now NSSF has improved, not like previous where this was so hard to get.
Yes.
Of late, if you have your documents very well, they even send you messages of monthly.
They keep giving you the alerts.
NSSF, I want to commend them. They have really done so much improvement in terms of making this money accessible. Not the midterm, because we haven't seen, it's just beginning to applications, but when finally someone reaches that particular age, clocks that age of getting their benefits. So the challenge has been, when you have money,
when you have a lot of it at your disposal, the excitement.
Very few people plan.
Yes.
And they know, okay, by now I have 50M, so when I get this money, I want to do this, I want to do this. Others plan. When money lands on their account,
yes.
On their way home, they see a beautiful lady. They see a nice car. Then they hear so-and-so bought this, and they divert. Because there isn't pre-training to prepare people. Now here again we are at midterm. Apply. 40, according to the minister, she said 45 days from that period you apply. The money goes to your bank account,
yes,
or goes to your mobile money, so you have this money.
So you have 45 days to actually come up with a very solid plan.
Yes, if everything, your paperwork is good, then you will know that 45 days,
the money is on the account.
I'm getting my money. And it is your money, it is your right to spend it anyway. But the greatest thing I find here is a saver with NSSF will have an opportunity to handle this money, either put it to good use or understand that when my balance comes at the end of the day, I'll now have learned, I'll have experienced, because you will say, oh, I wasted my 20%, I squandered it. Now that remaining 70%, the remaining 80%, I must handle it with care. To me, that is first exposure to this amount of money.
Okay.
But in terms of how much it is, of course, one would say business, anyone can start with any amount.
Absolutely.
But for me, it takes me back to understand NSSF could be, but these are private documentations and what, but if they could tell us average savers in NSSF that have clocked 10 years, that have made it to 45 years on average.
Yes.
How much do they have with NSSF? A person has saved for 10 years and has clocked 45. So this target group on average, how much they have with NSSF and how much is their 20%? You know?
Yes.
Is this amount of money that you can expect tremendous change, or is this money that is going to solve temporary problems?
Well, that is actually for you to answer. But yes, I think also the 20% for anybody, it would probably treat it like a piloting scheme. You see, okay, is this actually going to work out for me or not? Basically, you gauge yourself on how good you'll be able to handle the rest of the amount of the NSSF money. But now that the nitty-gritties we want to believe have been finalized and all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, there is a guideline that we are supposed to follow to know what of the some of the requirements that are really necessitated for you to access your midterm NSSF funds. So what are some of the requirements we are looking at, Robert?
Well, very interesting is that, and I'm happy that I don't think they have made it very hard for someone, because I want to read them as stated by NSSF. One, according to the regulations, these are the requirements for one to access their midterm. Current passport size photo. I mean,
you can get that anywhere, anytime.
Then we move to, that is a copy of national identification card, all aligned documentation card, or where applicable is an asylum seeker or refugee registration documents issued by the Office of the Prime Minister. Applicant is also required to have proof of bank account details. Of course, this is something now where have you been getting, where the deduction,
salary, yes.
So for example, a bank slip, all one page of a bank statement for any of the last 3 months, all confirmation letter from the bank. I think these are easy. Then they also should require to have a medical report from an expert. That is in case a person is a person with a disability. Then the terms and conditions for mode of payment, there is for mobile money payment, say the fund shall not be responsible for any loss in case someone chooses that way. As a result, then then also basically those are the requirements.
Yes.
So you have a photocopy of you, they need your passport size current.
Yes.
Don't bring when you just began work, but a current one. then you give them, of course, your bank will give you a bank statement 3 months down the road. These are things you easily get from your bank.
Yes.
Maybe a medical report, that is for the person with disability, but also don't find that very hard. So the terms and conditions have not really been so hard. And the good thing they have done is that they have sent gadgets up country. They have put offices and at also Koro ceremonial grounds here.
Yes.
They have established some structure there where you can go in case you need assistance for you to apply for this. So it is as easy as that. And like I said previously, NSSF has tremendously moved in making it very easy for you to access these benefits.
Well, really, the requirements don't have to limit you because they are easy peasy. You can actually get all these a national identity card, which by the way, very many people were really trying to lug around to get. But as you can see, if you don't have a national card, there is quite a whole lot you'll miss out. But let's also talk about the supervision of these happening. Now, there was a great conversation that was happening before the members of parliament, and they were thinking maybe there should be dual supervision of these projects between Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development and also Ministry of Finance. Of course, every ministry has its responsibilities that is bound to meet to make sure that this project runs and people access their money. Do you think it will drive the whole essence of the NSSF midterm access home?
When I look at this law that was amended and the president sent it to it, and now it's what has led us to here, a number of these issues were thoroughly thought through. And there was serious consultation that was carried out. That let finance manage the fund. Then when it comes to issues of social workers and all that, let this be under the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development.
Yes.
That is why we are seeing the minister coming out in terms of regulation. The financial element remains at the other side.
Yes.
And also when you have this other issue. So I believe they're all thought out, and I don't see in any way how it will affect the midterm. To me, my own, and also NSSF have assured us that the money is there. They have capacity almost every month to give about 5 billion.
Yes.
So what would be a scarecrow here is the money is there. Well, over and over, time and time, the executive director of the National Social Security Fund has come out and really said we have the monies.
Yes.
So for us, we are ready. We have been waiting for the law in place. The minister really confirmed to Ugandans, if your paperwork is very okay, though they cautioned Ugandans not, give us false information.
Yes.
You'll be liable to prosecution. So don't think this is the time to lie. You're 35, then you forge to be 40.
Because your identification will definitely give all the details.
Yeah, then you fill in I'm 45, you know. But if your paperwork is clear, then 45 days, you get your money.
Well, just to maybe outline some of the essential responsibilities that are bound to be met by each of these ministries, Gender, Labour, Social and Development, which will be taking the main lead to oversee the social security. Now, this will be about mobilizing and empowering communities, to harness their potential while protecting the rights of vulnerable population groups and promoting issues of labor, productivity and employment. But also we have quite some other responsibilities that will be handled by the Ministry of Finance. So you need to understand that the dual supervision comes in handy, but also different responsibilities are going to be met by by each of these ministries respectively. So I think it will really, really drive the point home. So what would be your parting shots actually before we get into all this? Because now I know people are excited, okay, because this is something they have been chasing since about 2010, and we had a lot of bad clashes, disagreements, and people saying NSSF doesn't want to give us our money and
this
all.
will drain the fund.
This is going to drain the fund. The economy is going to go down. NSSF is investing in very many other projects. What does this mean for a country? Do you still think that we are going to have such issues even now that the project has started?
Well, before passing of this, there's so much consultation. And I think that is why the 10th Parliament, the President did not assent to this bill. He needed more information.
Yes.
And by the time we arrived at this, I'm very sure all these have been catered for, because one time they told us the fund, this is about maybe even if you're to clear the beneficiaries, it would only take maybe less than even $1 trillion. Yet the fund has about 15 trillion, 13 trillion around there. So my parting shot is people that qualify for this midterm, do not get excited. First, it is not mandatory that because you've clocked 45 and you've saved for 10 years, then you must go and get it. Those with disabilities, because you've clocked 45, you get your 50%.
Yes.
Only use this money because you have it once. Your midterm, you can only get it once in a lifetime. You know?
Yes.
So there is no need for rush. There is no need for excitement. Have a proper plan of how you can use this money than squandering it and you follow the prodigal son. Yes.
Well, actually, before we close this up, something really came off my mind. We have two categories of people. There are people who actually don't serve with NSSF, people who probably run private businesses, but also we need to understand that there is an option for people who run these kinds of businesses where they can even get to serve with NSSF, despite the fact that they're not on government
voluntary savers are there. The law opened it clearly.
Yes.
Previous, you had to have about 5 people that you employ and all that. So there is so much, just that now we are at the midterm.
Yes.
But this law contains, it's a full package that involves a lot of people and creates more opportunity, even for voluntary savers.
Yes.
Maybe you've clocked, you've gotten your NSSF, you can continue to save again with NSSF on a voluntary basis. For them, anytime you want, you can withdraw your money.
You can withdraw your money. Now, aside from the voluntary savers, what other advantages do you think that people who serve with NSSF actually have over people who have just decided to shun away from NSSF because they believe they will never access their money?
One, it's more like a fixed deposit, that you know your money is going there, and because the way it's deducted,
yes,
the way it's done, sometimes like you have no option to say yes or no. It will automatically go there.
Yes.
Because saving is not easy. If someone said I will move from my bank, then I remain on my account, it may not be that very easy sometimes. So NSSF, there is a way it helps that person save like seemingly unknowingly. Because this is your net, this is your gross, and then you wonder, no, this goes to NSSF. So that is one. And the fact that it's not a fund where you can run anytime.
Absolutely.
Anytime. Yeah, like, so it helps people to save for a particular period of time and then get this money in bulk. So I find that yet you're not having, and this money, there is interest rate given to your monies, to your savings. At the end of the day, you don't only get what you've given. Like maybe when you go to a bank and save for some time and you go, you get, there's an interest rate on your money.
Oh, wow. Like they always said, don't hide that money under the bed, don't hide it wherever you have to. You can actually open up an account with the NSSF and save that money right there. It's safe. It's an institution that really regulates you, but it also helps you in the long run. You don't want to be the kind that retires off and you start lamenting how government is not coming through to help you when we have incentives like this where you can actually help yourself, you know, while you still have the energy, while you still have the resources. So yes, the application is officially starting in today for the midterm access of the NSSF funds. And like you had, very, very easy requirements to get a national ID, right? We also have your bank statements, really very easy things. So make sure that you have all that documentation and it will be very easy for you to access these funds. And I mean, make a plan. You have 45 days to make sure that you come up with a very solid plan that can help you, you know, put that money to use as you await for the rest of the other percentage. Well, Ruben is coming in with more on the sports updates, and of course, GMU Extra will be coming in right after that. Good morning, Uganda.
National Medical Stores is a government agency mandated to buy, store and distribute medicines and medical supplies to government health facilities in Uganda. For Ugandans that we serve, help us serve you better by taking your individual responsibilities seriously. Report theft of government medicines and medical supplies to the nearest police station or to the State House Health Monitoring Unit. Do not pay for any medicines or medical supplies labeled Government of Uganda Not for Sale. Do all that is within your means to stop all preventable diseases, including COVID-19. Continue observing the Ministry of Health Standard Operating Procedures, SOPs, including wearing a face mask whenever you are in public spaces. Visit a designated health facility to receive your COVID-19 vaccination and a booster dose for those that are eligible. Prevention is better than cure. National Medical Stores, passionate about your life.
It's just been